Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today in 20 days. And again, some people will be like, wait, but isn't Tears of the Kingdom coming out in exactly 3 weeks because it's Friday right now? And yes, technically that is true, but if you're getting the game, for me technically right now, I personally will purchase the game in the Japanese eShop, which means for me right now, I would be able to play the game in 20 days. And if you choose to do the same, that's also true for you. I will only be streaming it on the 12th, but that's mainly because I'm scared of Nintendo taking me down, just like they're basically sniping every content creator from the face of the earth, which I will also make a video of my thoughts about, even though my thoughts are crystal clear. And I've been outspoken about Nintendo's absolutely obnoxious and hideous business decision making when it comes to approaching not only modded, but even any sort of content and the online world in general. But what I want to talk about today instead is Zonai Shrines. And I've talked about them before, but I was actually on a podcast yesterday with fellow content creator Ratatuska. Now, I will be linking that podcast in this video's pinned comment, so you can check that out. We talked for almost 2 hours about Tears of the Kingdom theories and got excited together, which I thought was a really fun time. And if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. But again, one theory that we talked about there specifically yesterday is what I want to focus on today. And that theory, again, is going to be about Zonai Shrines. Now, we are getting a shrine out of the ground here right now, which is pretty much perfect to discuss this topic, because we both kind of agreed that Tears of the Kingdom already has a lot of stuff going on. We have underground caves, we have sky islands, we have the surface with stuff that's changed. So if there's new shrines, there would probably be less. But if there's less shrines, maybe they could function in multiple ways. And the theory we kind of arrived on as we were talking, and now let me get this straight before I get like 1600 comments about this, which I've never even gotten 1600 comments in my life, maybe on my main channel. I do actually not believe this theory to be true. I think there's a very, very small chance that it will be. Mainly because of the implications of how much work this would actually add to the team. Also, let me see if I can figure this out. Nice. Because it would add so much work, but the theory is this. So what if, yes, there's Zonai Shrines, you have to enter them and defeat them, beat them, the trial that's attached to them, but it unlocks an additional feature. And that feature is basically similar or like akin to a time shift stone from Skyward Sword Lanayru's mining facility. If you don't know how they work, they're essentially stones, you hit them, and then a specific area switches to a different time period. How did we... Before I explain you why I don't think this is actually true in the first place, but it's still fun to think about and an exciting possibility that I don't believe will happen. I think it's too much work and probably too much to ask for. But how did we arrive at this conclusion even in the first place? We have actually seen some shots of the Great Plateau, especially this area here at the back, and where the G-No shrine is, where actually one of these shrines is, and this one seems to appear in the past, because the plateau walls are still kind of like complete. So these shrines were, these new Zonai shrines were around in the ancient past back then, is what it seems like. They're also on the Sky Islands, obviously, which makes you think that they're probably pretty old if you follow the other theories on this channel. Which, now that they have reappeared and are still active, that would possibly act as some sort of connection between that ancient past and the time Link is on. In general, the idea of Link being able to go through 2 different times was always something that excited a lot of fans. Also, where am I actually going? I think Elden, right? Yeah. Was something that always excited a lot of fans. And the second part that I think is exciting about this possibility is these shrines' locations. So we see these swirly shrines show up at some pretty interesting locations. I've actually made a map on my Twitter of all of the shrines we found so far. Currently we are at 21. But let me tell you some of these shrines locations, and which implies why this would be such an interesting feature. On these shrines we have time shift stones and can actually at least somehow, even if it's just for a little bit or very limited, enter the ancient past. One of them is on top of Arbiter's Grounds, a structure that many people have wished to explore. Another one is on top of the Spring of Courage, which seems to be a very enigmatic, important location when it comes to the Zonai. A lot of them seem to be in villages, and again, this makes perfect sense if this is supposed to be a typical warp point. But if you take it to the extent of like, oh yeah, maybe they also switch time, it suddenly gets super interesting. Imagine exploring an ancient version of the Spring of Courage, an ancient version of maybe the mazes, right, that we've seen flying around, if we assume there's another Zonai Shrine inside them again. An ancient version of Arbiter's Grounds. It suddenly becomes super exciting. Now, again, I have my doubts that this is actually happening, because we already have so much going on. We have underground, we have sky islands, we have the surface, people are talking about dungeons, the story seems to be much more intricate, so realistically, this is probably not happening, but just thinking about the possibilities that this would bring is kind of amazing to me. And I guess a similar mechanic like this could later on appear in a DLC or something like that, so that we can actually explore this ancient Hyrule that Zelda falls in. This is all obviously thinking about a world where we can't even play Zelda in the first place. I talked about my thoughts when it comes to that with Ratatoskr yesterday on the podcast, that again, I will link in the pinned comment below if you want more stuff to listen to. But I kind of just wanted to fantasize about this concept a little bit. Again, these shrines appear in pretty cool locations that would work very well to be explored in the past. Another connection that I made actually is that on, very nice song by the way, in the background here, one of my favorites, in the Sky Islands, we actually see some dead constructs, which could just be decorations, but this again exactly reminded me of that concept of the Lanero mining facility, where some robots you can only interact with after hitting those specific time shift stones, which would then change the time. We've seen these stones on the Sky Islands to be able to make them interactable again in a small area. Again, highly likely that these are either just teleport points or Zonai Shrines, equivalent of Sheikah Shrines, but that additional possibility excites me a lot, despite the fact that I believe it's probably not gonna happen. That being said, I would like to hear what you think these things are. I'm assuming, like me, most of you think they are just teleport points or new Zonai versions of the shrines, but I would also like to hear if this idea would be something that you would even want. I think a lot of people have traditionally been kind of like against time travel, so I could actually see that some of you are like, oh no, please no. Now, one thing I want to address, just because, you know, especially on this channel, as I don't take things as seriously on my main channel where I focus to just do content, like I make a script and I show over like a challenge run or a speed run. I did want to briefly talk about one comment I got on the podcast with Ratatoskr yesterday, which I thought was kind of weird. I was thinking if I should actually get offended by it or not, but maybe there's more people that think this way about me and about this channel, so I just wanted to address it anyway. Basically, there was this guy who said that they are really concerned for my health, that I play so much Breath of the Wild, and they're so annoyed that I play this game so much, I should try other games, and something that I would typically put into a troll comment category. But I still wanted to address the fact that I hope some of you know that this is not actually my main channel, and I know this channel has been kind of like been recommended and stuff, but usually I do speedruns, I've done all sorts of games, I have 1,000 hours in Elden Ring, I have 1,000 hours in Odyssey. That's a lot of gaming hours, but at the end of the day, that's my job. I play video games on YouTube and Twitch for a living. So maybe just to give you some information, it's not like I'm only alive when I play this game and that's all I do. Even though maybe some of you think that way. Or I just got one guide, as they like to say on Twitch sometimes. But it's one dude who just had a bad day. But I still wanted to address it anyway, just so you know that I actually have a main channel. I think sometimes I like to shout that out. Still, I will also make videos on that one. It's getting pretty close to 100,000 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. Tomorrow we'll continue here serving the first puzzle in the Elden region, which is going to be extremely interesting to re-explore. Probably mostly inside the volcano. Most people have made the connection that it seems like Elden Volcano has been malice infested and our Gorons might not have as much rock roast available anymore as they once used to. But we'll continue here tomorrow. 99.59% Tears of the Kingdom will be out in 19 days tomorrow. We're gonna cross that 20-day breakpoint, 20-day barrier. And that's exciting. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Peace.